Hi, I'm Teresa Chang.
Hi, I'm Marianne McCara.
Hi, I'm Felicia Grant Cummings.
Hi, I'm Kim Johnson with Moms Navigating Autism.
Did you know autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States? Autism Speaks has created two 100-day kits for newly diagnosed families of children ages 4 and under, and one for newly diagnosed families of children ages 5 to 13. They were created to help families during the critical 100 days following their child's diagnosis of autism. Please go to www.autismspeaks.org to download your Autism Speaks 100-day kit. What I tell moms to do a lot of times is take a week or two, feel sorry for yourself, but then get up, start reading, start talking to people, because that child is depending on you, and you have to help him. Go out, start reading everything about autism. There's tons of internet pages, there's tons of groups on Facebook, there's tons of information on Instagram. Social media is a great place. Go speak to the schools, speak to community resources, reach out to your town. And today, with the amount of children that are being diagnosed with autism, somebody knows somebody that has a child with autism. And eventually, you'll figure it out. It's a scary thought, it's a scary process, but it does work out. But you have to take that first step. You can't let it linger and not do anything about it, because that child is depending on you.
Getting the diagnosis is difficult because you're being faced with a set of challenges that you were not expecting. So you have to, in some ways, radically readjust what your approaches are to many issues. You may have a child who is not speaking. How do you address that? You need to find some way to communicate.
Yeah, exactly.
You may have a child who has issues with toileting, but again, there are therapists who can help you with that.
Right.
While it is overwhelming, it is important to know that there is help out there. You have to ask for that help, you have to look for the help. Sometimes it can take a while to find the help you need, but the help is out there.
Right.
And I have found many times that the best resource I have had is other parents.
Right.
Parents who have walked the same path I'm about to walk.
Right. And we don't all walk the same path together.
No.
But, some of us might take a shorter path, some of us might take a longer path, but we're all on the autism path. And we will get some information. I might tomorrow get information from you, and tomorrow you might not have gone through what my child's going through, or your child did not go through what my child was going through, but her child did. So I'll get information from her. Getting a community involved is great.
Sometimes it's the team that you have with your child too, because I gotta say, I'm totally thankful and blessed to my son's team, whether it's the teacher, the therapist, social workers, the service coordinator. When you have a good team that works with your child, and you find that right team, like his one-to-one aide works wonderful with him, helps him with his ABA, all through my son's school, he's had the greatest team, and that definitely has helped and helped him get to where he is now. And if it wasn't for that team, and they know people, and they refer you to people, and they know parents that went through it, so it's a matter of networking with all these moms, teachers, it's everybody. It's like they say, it takes a village to raise your child. Right. And these people are phenomenal, and a lot of them do not get the credit that they deserve. My son, I gotta say, my son's team has been great with him. Whether it's the therapist in his house, in the house with us, or the ones that are in school. So if it wasn't for them, I don't know if it would have been this easy. I'm not saying it was easy. It's been hard. There's been challenges. When you feel like everything's going great, you're like, oh, setback. But it's like having that team and that support that you need is everything.
Early intervention is a key part of your child's treatment. Once you notice that your child is perhaps not making developmental milestones, that's the time to perhaps seek out early intervention. From ages 0 through 3, you can get a whole host of services for your child: physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA, and all of these can help your child to progress so that, perhaps they can, do the best that they can.
Oh, absolutely. You should definitely get early intervention services. And one of the best ways to find out is call your school district. If you're not calling the right place, because I think in our state, it's 2.5. Once they're 2.5, it automatically transfers over to the school district.
Preschool. Mm-hmm.
Right.
CPSC.
Right, CPSC. So you really need to get on that, because as soon as you suspect something, your child's not talking, he's aloof, my child was setting things up in a row with I gave him little people, and he loved those, but he would set them all up in a row, and that was different. So you call the school district. What I did was I called the school district, and
there's also a number with the state that you can call, and there's also a number with Westchester County that we could provide on the website that you can call also on the website.
Right. But in any state, you should call and find out. And if you're not sure, call the school district. They will tell you where you need to go. They're too young for them, and they'll direct you to the right place.
They usually give you a list of service providers, and then from there you do an evaluation, and dependent on the evaluation for the child, that's when they determine whether the child's eligible for services through the school district
or through the
CPSC,
county,
yes.
Right, or through the county or wherever. But it's key to start as early as possible.
We have to anticipate a lot for our children. We have to anticipate the environment that they're in. We have to anticipate where they are now, where they're going to, and kind of pre-plan. And
Try to stay one step ahead.
And that's right.
Playing chess.
Absolutely.
What is my next move going to be?
We have to think creatively.
Absolutely.
But where, like, when we go to a restaurant or something like that, I try to at least include, sometimes, not all the time, I try to go at least have some time to myself sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. But when I'm going to take him, do I have all the videos with me? Do I have a backup video player that's charged? Where's the door? Are there stairs?
Like a military
it's like
expedition.
I have to know exactly what's going to happen when we go.
Absolutely.
He doesn't know. He's just like, hey, I'm out,
Right.
And he's in a good mood where everything's good to go. But you have to, I have everything. The snack, like everything with me.
People have to get more creative, and they have to also accept that sometimes what they're asking is the child can't capably do it, and you have to be flexible. And if you want that, it's going to take time to get to that point. You can't just say one day, oh, this is the way things because if you've been doing things one way and then all of a sudden it switches, you can't.
Right.
Go
And you
back
have
to
to know
that.
your kid.
Right.
You do. You have to know your kid. You have to know how you've been teaching them.
Right.
And if you've been teaching them along a certain path, and then all of a sudden they just flip, you're like,
Right.
but you want to guide them back. Guide them back to
Right, and that's it. And sometimes it's not going to happen today. It might take a while.
Right.
I mean, and I'm going by, my son and the verbal. Like, I can't tell my son, oh, we're gonna change everything. We're gonna eat dinner on the floor, because he's gonna go. And still sit at the table. It's.
Will he verbalize it to you though and say,
No,
"Hey,
he'll
Mom,
say, Mom, what's wrong with you?"
See, now my daughter would say to me, Mom, you know, I don't do well with change. she'll tell me, you know. I mean, sometimes she works it to her advantage, and sometimes I can see where, no, you can adapt to this. But there are times where, you know, but she can actually process that, like, wait,
That's good.
sometimes it's too much,
That's
you know.
really
And then I have to realize, okay, you know what? If it were me, how would I feel? You know, making
Right.
a quick transition or a quick change, you know, and then be able to understand, you know, what she's
Right.
going through. Yeah.
And see, that's the stake. You have to put yourself into their position. Not enough people do that. And I know it's kind of hard because you raise your kids like your parents raised you, you know, which is what the mantra that everybody goes by, you know. You raise your kids like your parents raised you, but sometimes your child can't fit into that environment. And, you know, it's kind of a give and take.
Given our son's diagnosis, my expectations underwent a radical change.
Right.
You know, we found that in his case, medication was appropriate. He went on a trial for Abilify, and we found that that had very good effects for him. And he also would on occasion take lorazepam to help with the tantruming behaviors, and it did calm him down. And when he has to have a dental procedure, he has some Valium beforehand, and that allows them to get him to a relaxed state where they can actually get the work done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal, and a lot of parents are very resistant to the idea of medication, but in our case and for our son, I think it was the right decision.
It works, right? And there are a lot of parents who feel that way. They put them on medication to be able to stabilize things until they can get things together.
For many years, they wanted my son to take medication, and I was so against. It's not that I was so against it. When he took it as a younger, like when he was very young, I just felt like he was very dopey, and it was a very short time that he took that one. So we didn't take it for a long time. And then when he was having all these behaviors before COVID, banging his head because he couldn't express that he wanted that video player, and he couldn't take the sounds in the classroom and stuff. We saw the psychiatrist, and they did put him on medication. It's such a small dose of it, but I think it takes a little bit of an edge off of him. So it's not like he needs it to behave. It just takes a little bit of that edge off of him. So, and like I said, he doesn't have a behavior every day, and he's not having behaviors because he's on the medication. It's just something to keep him a little eased back, I think. But you know, everybody has to do what they feel is best for their child.
right.
I mean, you can't say, oh, I would never medicate, and I would never medicate for those reasons. It's just like, I gotta try this way first. You know,
See
that's
what
just,
works.
Yeah, see what happens. Because what I saw was the behaviors weren't just an everyday thing. It could be like months.
Right.
No behavior, a year and no behavior. So I'm like, why do I want to do this if it's not something he needs to cope every single day? If he needed to cope every single day, then okay. It's not a matter of being against it. It's a matter of what does he really need. As far as dental procedures and Valium, they can't give him anything because if he knows he's at a doctor, he won't drink, he won't eat, he won't touch anything.
Very
It doesn't matter,
smart.
even in the car, he will not take anything. So he needs to be sedated in the ER to have any dental procedure and blood drawn.
Wow.
And his last one was scheduled right before COVID. It was like the week everything shut down. So it was canceled, and because he won't let them do a COVID test, he can't go in at all for this elective surgery. So we still haven't been back to the dentist.
The Westchester Institute for Human Development puts together this group of kids, and they keep inviting my son to go, but once again, that transition with my son. So even though he knew him because he met him when he was going to school at his school district, he didn't, he's still like, it's going to take at least 6, 7, or 8 months before he actually, but every weekend, these kids have done, they go bowling, they go out to dinner, they go to the movies, they go to football games. They even cruise together at one point.
Is this something like
So-
Norwest does, or no? It's different. Totally
It's
different.
something that,
And who funds this exactly? Is it this?
The parents pay for, whatever activity they're doing.
Sure.
And then, but his salary, I guess it's paid for by WIHD. I'm sure they got a grant. I'm not sure exactly how that part of it was.
Right.
But he works for WIHD, and so he sends out, and it's, and I had to fill out this questionnaire about, what he does and things like that. It wasn't really like one page, but it, he does have a good thing going. I mean, they go to Kensico Park, they eat together. It's a whole bunch of kids, But, and I'm sure that there's more than this one. And then on Tuesday nights, I want to say WJCS has dinner. They go out and have
things.
But it's not teen, it's for adults.
Adults, right.
So they go and they have dinner together, and there's a social worker there, and she helps them with their conversation skills.
WJCS has a lot of programs.
Right, but last year, you had to have graduated from high school, so my son only got to start going last year, and it was virtual. So he really didn't get a lot of it because he would rather meet you face to face and do something than. So he really they have all this virtual stuff, and they really got creative. I mean, the one from WIHD, they were playing Uno virtually. They were playing through an app. So they got creative. They found all sorts of things to play. It was pretty good, but there are things for your kids to do. You just have to go out there and find it. You definitely should go on Facebook, and there's groups. Start with special moms groups, and then look for Ask Moms. Ask Moms there. Do you know of any groups where kids are getting together and going out with special needs kids? And from what I can tell, moms are more than willing to help other moms, and they'll tell them. And then you could, sign your kids up, but don't have them stay at home, because I know my son, he does not want to be bored. He wants to go out and do things, because otherwise he wants mom and dad to do things.
But they have Norwest here also. I know in this part of Westchester, there's Norwest, and that's adults, totally up to whatever age. They do bowling, and they have outings before COVID anyway. They did movies, and they had get-togethers and stuff like that. So Norwest has some programs also to do.
Oh, I didn't know that. The only reason I knew that
in the back roads off of Maple Avenue, I think.
Yeah, no, I pass it all the time, but I didn't know about that one. And the person we mentioned earlier, her son was running, so she included my son in it. So
there's not enough up this way, north here in Westchester. There's not a lot of programs. They have all that. They're more down county, a lot of this stuff.
There
so you have to travel to
I
go
have
a little
noticed
bit.
that, but there's lots in Sullivan County and in Orange County. I used to bring my son to a social skills class in Orange County. The difference between our area and their area, theirs were free.
Really?
And ours we have to pay, for social skills classes, it's $100 a session.
Wow.
Yeah, it could get very costly. I used to pay it, and it's very costly. After a while, it becomes,
What exactly goes on during?
They teach them to have when you
social
pay.
Skills, yeah.
They teach them to have conversation skills. Try to teach them when a person is looking like this is what it means. When a person, how to look at a person when you're having a conversation, how to
read them.
Social skills groups for people with disabilities. Social skills groups are small groups, typically 2 to 8 kids led by a speech therapist, psychologists or a social worker who teaches kids or adults how to interact appropriately with their peers.
And one of the things that we have to remember, no matter where your child is on the spectrum, we need to build up his strengths. It's really important whether they're on the low end of the spectrum or on the high end of the spectrum. There's something that you notice that is like shining brightly. Build up that strength, no matter what it is, and help your child at least get some encouragement.
I mean, even small increments of progress
Mm-hmm.
can, greatly help, a family to see. Any small progress.
Maybe the littlest thing, being
Yeah,
able to
any
sit with a
small
bunch of
progress
people
is
or
sometimes can
tolerate the
be
noise.
sometimes can be a really big thing.
Mhm.
Other people might not realize it as being a big thing, but to you within the family sphere, it's really big. If they can sit through a meal without having a tantrum or getting upset, or if they can go on an outing and not have a tantrum. That's all progress, and progress is hard won over sometimes a long period of time and a lot of work.
Even if they point at something to indicate what they want, that is some form of communication, and that's good. That's a
Sure.
strength, But
And it's different for every child.
Right.
Like it could be whether they use pictures, like you said,
Text.
pointing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you adapt the signs and sign language to work for that child. Like some of my sons aren't the typical sign language; they're adapted to what he can do. But that's a way he can communicate, so he doesn't have to be frustrated. He can communicate now.
Autism is year-round. Accept your child for who they are. Teach them to be the best that they can be. Be a proud autism parent. Holiday tradition tips with your autism spectrum person. While we all love old holiday traditions, some traditions are not adaptable for kids on the spectrum. Make new traditions that your autism child can participate in. Remember, be flexible. Just because your child may not be ready to participate in a tradition, it does not mean they never will. They might in the future. For now, let them do as much as they can, and then finish it for them. Don't force them to do something they can't do. The stress and anxiety levels will be much better when we are flexible with our autism kids. Autism holiday tip number 4. Being an autism parent can be extra stressful during the holidays. Take it easy and make time for yourself. Sometimes spending just 15 minutes alone can help. Find something that reduces stress and clears your mind. Slow your breathing and restore inner calm. Remember, things do not have to be perfect. Being flexible will bring less stress and anxiety. A calmer autism child. And happy holiday memories. OPWDD, Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. New York State agency tasked with providing funding and services to individuals with disabilities. OPWDD allows people with disabilities to access supports and services that can help families to support their child to live in their family home. OPWDD can provide assistance for your child to live on his own in a community of his choice. OPWDD can provide assistance accessing services your child needs to live his life. OPWDD can help your child with work, volunteer or community involvement, including connecting with clinical or therapeutic supports. Access VR. In New York State, Access VR assists individuals with disabilities to achieve and maintain employment and to support independent living through training, education, rehabilitation and career development. For more information on Access VR, go to www.access.nysed.gov/VR or call 1-800-222-5627.
The IDEA. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Section 300.43 of the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, mandates that transition planning is part of the education process for students with disabilities so students can leave high school with skills needed for the future. To obtain an online version of the IDEA, go to https://sites.ed.gov/IDEA/statute regulations. Parents of students with disabilities should ensure that a transition plan with measurable transition goals for their child is in place on their IEP by the time their child is 16 years of age, or preferably sooner.
Thank you, Autis, for providing us with this platform.
And we want to remind everybody that we are mothers. We are not professionals. We're sharing our experiences with you in order to help you raise your autism child.
See you again next week at 4:30.
And don't forget, follow us, like, and subscribe. We'll see you soon.